Hello again, Chris Lee and Chase Robinson of Southeastern 16 here to preview and predict an outcome of Middle Tennessee State's trip to Ole Miss. You can see that 3:15 on the SEC network or not, Chase, depending on who your cable provider is. Always got to get that in there. Ole Miss a 41.5 favorite with an over-under of 63.5. That makes for a predicted final of Ole Miss 53, MTSU 11. Ole Miss beat Furman 76-0 last week, and MTSU, coached by former Vanderbilt coach Derek Mason, in his debut in Murfreesboro, struggled to beat Tennessee Tech. Won that one in the final seconds, 32. I think it was 32-25. Before we talk about both teams, Chase, who sponsors our content?
Yeah, BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for everything football. BetOnline has every stat, every matchup, and even live odds and spreads to bet on during the games. If you think you know your stuff, you can get in on our $200,000 mega contest to pick 5 games against the spread every week. You can have a chance to win weekly prizes and a share of $200,000. When the game's over, you can get in on a game of blackjack or poker or one of the over 150 slots games. So head over to the website today to get in on the action. Bet online. The game starts here.
All right, let's talk about MTSU's offense. Quarterback Nick Vaught-Hemingway, I guess is how you pronounce it, 20 of 35 for 210, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. No main back on this team. They rushed last week 33 times for 118 yards. Meanwhile, Ole Miss's defense pitched a shutout. We've talked about how improved that talent is, and certainly that showed up in week 1.
Yeah, when you look at Vaught-Hemingway, the quarterback there for MTSU, he threw for more than 3,000 yards last year. When they played Missouri last year, he was 22 of 36, 248 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. And so he does have some experience in an SEC stadium playing an SEC school. Another guy to watch from Middle Tennessee State is Frank Peasant. He led the ground game, 50 yards on 10 carries, 2 touchdowns, including a game-winning 30-yard run from Peasant last week. And so those are, I feel like, 2 guys to watch. We'll see if Peasant can get going against this defense, but it's going to be incredibly tough for anybody to get going, I feel like, for MTSU offensively because of what's been done in the Ole Miss defense. We're talking about one of the best defenses in the country right now with Ole Miss. They pitched a shutout against Furman, and it wouldn't surprise me if you look at the final scores of several Ole Miss games this year, and there could be zeros in the in the other column.
Yeah, I agree with that too. I don't think people have really caught up to that defense yet. But let's talk about MTSU's defense and Ole Miss's offense. Ole Miss last week, I don't know. You run out of superlatives when you go to talk about them, and they even played without one of their main guys, one of their main receivers. Jackson Dart threw for 400 plus in the first half. Trey Harris had a game. They spread the targets around. I mean, I think, man, Ole Miss had 70 points in the third quarter, I think, Chase. Yeah, I'll let you look that up. The MTSU's defense, we talked about Derek Mason being a Vandy guy, of course, a couple years ago, got fired after that 2020 season. A couple of guys that he brought with him from Vandy, Brendan Harris, who was one of his recruits, led them with 10 tackles and a pass breakup. But John House, who was a backup defensive back at Vanderbilt last year, those were their leaders on defense last week. And good luck to them as they try to stop what Ole Miss brings.
It really is incredible. And you mentioned Jordan Watkins, who was folks are really high on in the offseason, didn't even play for Ole Miss this past week against Furman, and for an undisclosed reason. And so they weren't at full strength, and they put up 76 points. And it was 73-0 at the end of the third quarter. They just put up 3 points there in the fourth quarter, and so. This is a absolutely dominant offense as far as Ole Miss goes. And again, they were playing Furman, but still, whoever they were playing, whoever they do play this year, I feel like they're going to be able to move the ball on. It's going to take a lot to stop these guys. Jackson Dart, the third-year quarterback, is really impressive. He's got great guys around him. They had, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 11 guys catch passes in this game. They had 8 guys run the ball, including Jackson Dart and Austin Simmons, run the ball. And they played 3 quarterbacks. I mean, they got a lot of guys in, and they were still scoring. I mean, I think that's what shows about this Ole Miss offense and what they were able to do and what they can do this year. It's going to be a handful for Middle Tennessee. There's no doubt about it. You're facing because Lane Kiffin is creative. He's a really creative play caller. Like,
Yeah.
He understands that side of a play calling that not a lot of coaches do, and he's creative, and that helps. And so that the creativeness, the good play calling to go along with the personnel that he has, that's a good recipe there for Ole Miss.
Well, and Derek Mason, I think one of the good guys in coaching, got to know him a little bit in Nashville when he was at Vandy. But speaking of resource challenge programs, MTSU, if you thought it was hard at Vandy, I think it's even worse there. It's a rebuilding situation for them. I mean, they struggled to beat Tennessee Tech last week. And I just, when you guys at the top of your tackle sheet are guys that we knew that couldn't play at that level consistently, I think that's a bad sign. I think the model I've got's got Ole Miss winning by about 42. I'm a little surprised the spread's not higher. I don't think people have caught on to maybe how good Ole Miss is yet. I think they've got a shot to pitch another shutout. Are they going to score 76 again? Probably not, but you pointed out that they've got a couple of quarterbacks who were sitting there in Walker Howard and Simmons looking to get some playing time. They didn't really take the foot off the gas pedal. I feel like, 41.5 points is a lot, but I feel like it might be that and more. And if this one's ever close for long, I'd be surprised.
I completely agree with you. Ole Miss definitely in this game is who I'll take, and big. I think they score a lot of points. I think they're going to score a lot of points all year this year. That's just what kind of team this Ole Miss team is. And like you mentioned, I think that's an interesting point to point out that when Austin Simmons and Walker Howard were in the game, they were still scoring points. These backup quarterbacks are not just out there, to look good. No, they're out there to play ball and put the pedal to the metal, and that's what they did.
Yeah, I really feel like Ole Miss might beat the number and also the under hits in this one.
Yep, that wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah. Well, anyway, we'll be here to talk about it later. We cover SEC baseball, basketball, and football year-round. Best way to get it, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. That also, once you hit your notifications, we also ask you to do that. You'll get our live Saturday night recaps when most of the games are over, so we'll be doing that. And if you're interested in advertising, we reach millions of people a year. Caroline.smith at Southeastern14.com. For Chase Robinson, I'm Chris Lee. This is Southeastern 16, presented by BetOnline.